Christmas stories are usually warm, predictable, and safe. This one was. That year, I learned how quiet control can hide loud betrayals and how one calm question can unravel months of lies. I'm a mother, a woman who believed family meant honesty even when things were hard. I had survived divorce, raised my son with patience, and opened my home believing love would be enough. What I didn't expect was that Christmas would become the moment everything I trusted cracked open. This is a story about a daughter-in-law who wanted control, a son who chose secrecy, and the truth that refused to stay buried. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anyone out. I simply watched, waited, and let the truth speak for itself. Sometimes karma doesn't rush. It waits for the perfect moment to knock. Christmas was supposed to be simple that year, especially after everything our family had been through. But my daughter-in-law Lauren arrived with a clipboard and a smile that felt sharp around the edges. She walked into my house like a manager inspecting a branch that wasn't meeting standards. "We'll put the kids at this end of the table," she said, tapping her pen. "And Mom, maybe you can stay out of the kitchen this morning so things stay on schedule." I laughed softly and replied, "It's your holiday too." Lauren, my son Daniel, avoided my eyes while she spoke for him. When I asked Daniel, "Does this work for you?" he shrugged and said, "Yeah, sure, whatever Lauren planned." That answer stung more than it should have. I told myself peace sometimes meant silence, so I swallowed my pride and nodded. Still, small things felt off. Daniel's phone buzzed constantly. Lauren snatched it from the counter, saying, "Probably spam again." When I hugged my son, he felt distant. "You okay?" I asked. "Just tired," he replied. That night, while Lauren talked loudly about Christmas morning schedules, I heard Daniel whispering in the hallway. "She doesn't suspect a thing," he said. My heart skipped. I kept stirring the gravy. Later, while clearing plates, I found a hotel receipt in Daniel's coat pocket. Different town, week before Christmas. I folded it quietly, feeling a cold truth settling in my chest that I couldn't yet name. I didn't confront anyone right away because I needed the truth, not excuses, and I knew I had to remain calm, no matter how my chest tightened and my hands trembled. That morning, Lauren woke up early and clapped her hands like a teacher, announcing the day's schedule. "All right, everyone, breakfast at 8 sharp," she said, eyes gleaming as she pointed toward the kitchen. "Gifts at 9, dinner prep starts at 3. Let's stay on track, okay?" I forced a polite smile. "Of course, Lauren, you've got this covered," I said quietly. Daniel avoided eye contact as she spoke. "Yes, sure." "Whatever works," he muttered, shifting nervously. I watched closely, noticing the way his fingers fidgeted with his coffee mug. His phone buzzed again and she snatched it from the counter. "Probably spam," she said with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. I nodded slowly, letting it pass. I had to observe, not react. During breakfast, the kids were excitedly tearing into gifts, and I used the distraction to step into the hallway. The house tablet, synced to our family account, sat on the counter. My hands hesitated, then picked it up, scrolling through messages I shouldn't have seen but needed to. There it was, proof. Deleted messages that automatically synced, photos, hotel confirmations. Dates, times, words no mother wants to read about her son. I swallowed hard. My hands shook, but I kept my face calm. This wasn't just Daniel. Lauren was involved too, coordinating and covering up his affair. The betrayal hit in layers, each one sharper than the last. I closed the tablet, taking a deep breath. "Stay calm," I whispered to myself. When Daniel walked past, I casually said, "Daniel, can you help me carry these boxes to the garage?" His head snapped up. Sure, Mom," he said, clearly suspicious. Once we were alone, I held up the tablet between us. "How long were you planning to lie to me in my own home?" I asked softly, yet the words carried weight. His face went pale, color draining fast. "Mom, I didn't think you'd see it," he stammered. Before I could say more, Lauren appeared in the doorway, her eyes widening, a flicker of panic crossing her carefully maintained composure. "What are you doing?" she asked, voice tight. I didn't answer her. I looked at Daniel. "I asked you a question," I said. He swallowed and looked away, silent. Lauren stepped closer, trying to reclaim control. "Mom, it's not what it looks like," she said, a nervous laugh escaping. "I mean, Daniel would have explained it eventually." I remained calm. "Eventually isn't now, it's today. You've been covering months of lies and I have the proof." Lauren's shoulders stiffened. "Proof? Mom, it's complicated. You don't understand." I shook my head slowly. "I understand enough. You helped him hide things, Lauren. That makes you part of this." Her face went white. Daniel's eyes filled with guilt, but he remained silent. "Mom, please don't," he started. "SHH," I interrupted, holding up a finger. "No excuses, just honesty." I stepped back, giving them both space, letting the weight of the situation sink in. "Daniel, I know about the hotel bookings, the messages, everything." I continued, my voice steady. "Lauren, I know you coordinated it all. You think covering for someone is helping, but it is. It's lying." Lauren's hands trembled. I thought I was protecting him. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. I shook my head. Protection isn't lying, it's facing reality. And reality is here right now. Daniel's lips quivered. Mom, I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was scared and I didn't know what to do. I took a breath and looked at him. Fear doesn't erase actions, Daniel. Choices do. Lauren's voice was almost a whisper. I wanted control. I wanted it to be perfect. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. Control built on lies isn't perfect, Lauren. It's fragile and it always breaks, I said. The room felt heavy with tension, though we were still in the hallway. Daniel's eyes darted between me and Lauren. Mom, please don't be mad, he begged. I thought I was doing the right thing. I let out a long breath. Doing the right thing is admitting mistakes, not hiding them. You could have come to me, but you chose secrecy instead. Lauren's head dropped. I didn't know how else to fix it. The only way to fix it, I said, is truth. She swallowed hard. Even if it ruins everything. Even if it does, I said softly. Daniel's voice cracked. Mom, what about Christmas? It's ruined already. I smiled faintly, trying to steady the room. Christmas isn't about perfection. It's about honesty, family, and facing what's real. Lauren shook her head, her composure slipping. I can't face everyone like this. I'll be humiliated. Humiliation isn't the point, I said firmly. Accountability is. And if you can't manage it alone, then maybe it's time to learn how it feels. Daniel leaned forward, burying his face in his hands. Mom, I'm so sorry, I really am. I didn't know how to stop it. I put a hand on his shoulder. I know, Daniel, but hiding never stopped anything. Secrets only grow. Lauren's voice was quieter now. So you're going to tell everyone? Eventually, I said. Not yet, but tonight honesty will sit at the table with all of us. She looked at me with wide, terrified eyes. You would, she began. I would, I said, because control can't hide betrayal, Lauren. Lies can't survive when someone finally pays attention. Daniel peeked at me. Mom, I want to fix this. You start by being truthful, I said. Lauren's hands shook as she gripped the tablet I had held earlier. I wanted to protect him. And the family, she whispered. Protection isn't hiding the truth, I said. It's facing it together. Daniel swallowed, taking a deep breath. Okay, Mom, I'll tell everything. I held up a hand. We'll do it together, calmly. Honestly, Lauren's eyes darted to the hallway where the Christmas decorations twinkled innocently, a stark contrast to the tension now pulsing in our home. Mom, maybe we can wait. Just let me handle it. No, this is bigger than you, I said firmly. Daniel nodded, a mixture of fear and relief washing over him. Mom, thank you. I think I needed you to see this. I looked at both of them. Sometimes it takes someone outside the circle to shine a light, and that's what I just did. Lauren's lips trembled. I can't believe you. Believe it, I said, because ignoring it only made it worse. Daniel's shoulders slumped. So what now? Now, I said, we prepare for honesty. The dinner table will be set, but it will be set with truth first. Control isn't in charge anymore. Accountability is, she swallowed. And everyone will know. Eventually, I said, in a way that doesn't destroy them unnecessarily. Lauren exhaled, tension leaving her body in small, shaky bursts. Daniel looked at me with tears brimming. Mama, thank you for not losing it. I shook my head. I didn't lose it, Daniel. I just waited for the right moment. And that moment is approaching. The weight of months of secrecy seemed to lift slightly in that hallway, replaced by the sharp, clean edge of impending truth. Tonight everything would change, and they both knew it. I set the tablet down, my eyes meeting theirs, steady and unwavering. Get ready, I said softly, because what you've been hiding is about to see the light. And with that, the first step toward revelation, confrontation, and eventual resolution had begun. Leaving both Lauren and Daniel poised on the edge of accountability, unsure of what the rest of the day would bring. Lauren tried to take control like she always did, stepping into the living room with a forced cheer that didn't reach her eyes. I just want Christmas to be perfect, she said, tapping her hands on the table as if she were arranging invisible items. You know, it's stressful when everyone expects things to be done exactly right. I looked at her calmly, letting her words hang. Lauren, I said, my voice soft but firm, stress doesn't explain lying or covering up someone else's mistakes. She blinked, startled, and Daniel shifted uncomfortably beside her. What do you mean? Lauren asked, trying to recover her composure, a laugh escaping that sounded more like nervous air than amusement. I continued, I know everything. Every message, every confirmation, every hotel stay. And I know you weren't just helping him, you were part of it. Daniel's head dropped, shame evident, and Lauren's smile faltered, replaced by a pale tension that made her stiffen in place. I took a slow breath. I saved copies, everything. I'm not here for excuses. I want honesty and I want it now. Daniel's voice cracked first. Mom, I didn't mean for this to get so out of hand. I thought. I held up a hand to stop him. Stop, just tell the truth. Lauren, realizing she was cornered, began speaking quickly. It's not what you think, I only helped him cover things so no one would get hurt. I didn't want anyone to find out. Her hands shook, and for the first time her control slipped. I looked directly at her. Helping cover an affair is still a choice. You didn't just step in, you enabled months of lies. She opened her mouth again, but I held up the tablet, scrolling slowly, showing the photos, confirmations, and messages. I have proof. I didn't find this in some trash folder. It was in plain sight. Secrets don't hide in my house. A heavy silence filled the room, and Daniel's shoulders sagged further. I glanced toward the hallway where my relatives were gathered for Christmas dinner. Tonight we eat together, but honesty comes to the table first. Everyone deserves to know what happened. Lauren's lips pressed into a thin line, her eyes darting to Daniel, then back to me. You would, she began, voice trembling. I would, I said firmly. I invited people who care, who deserve the truth. The doorbell rang, and a few relatives trickled in, bringing laughter and holiday cheer into the room. Lauren's forced composure cracked completely, and Daniel whispered, Mom, please. I shook my head gently. No, it's time they hear everything. Lauren's expression turned from panic to disbelief. You, how could you? She gasped. I gestured to the table. Sit, listen, learn that control doesn't hide betrayal. Honesty does. Daniel's father, my ex-husband, arrived, carrying a small tray of cookies, and he paused when he noticed the tension. What's going on? He asked quietly. I nodded at him to sit and then addressed the room. This Christmas, some truths were hidden, but not anymore. I'll share just enough to expose the lies without cruelty. Lauren's face paled further, and Daniel's eyes filled with tears. I began telling the story calmly, revealing the affair, the hotel bookings, and how Lauren had covered it up to protect their image. Her hands gripped the table, and I saw the shift. The proud control she wielded over every detail of our family's holiday had vanished. I thought I was helping, she whispered, her voice shaking. Helping isn't lying, helping isn't covering, it's choosing honesty. My ex-husband's eyes widened, and several relatives exchanged worried glances. Daniel buried his face in his hands. Mom, I'm sorry, I really am, I didn't mean for this to go so far. I put a hand on his shoulder. I know, but intent doesn't erase consequences. Choices do. Lauren finally looked up at me, her expression raw, unguarded. So you're exposing me? She asked, voice barely audible. I'm exposing the truth, I corrected gently. You're a part of that truth, yes, but this isn't personal, it's necessary. The room went quiet as the weight of the revelation settled. My relatives murmured softly among themselves, processing what they had just learned. Lauren's carefully constructed image of control had completely crumbled, and for the first time she seemed vulnerable, human, and unmasked. I continued, explaining how months of lies had affected Daniel, our family, and even her. She couldn't interrupt, she couldn't twist it because the proof was irrefutable. And then, as we all sat down at the table, Lauren's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, panic flashing across her face. It's my sister, she said nervously, hiding it. I shook my head. No more hiding, everyone sees, everyone knows, you're not in charge anymore. Daniel nodded, his tears flowing freely. Mom, I should have told you sooner. I let him speak, but I didn't respond immediately. I waited, letting the silence press on Lauren and Daniel, letting the gravity of accountability sink in. Mom, Daniel continued, I just didn't know how to stop it once it started. I held his gaze steadily. Then you should have asked for help. Secrets grow when we hide from them, not when we share them. Lauren finally spoke, her voice quiet, almost broken. I didn't know it would get this bad. I wanted control, but I didn't want anyone hurt. I shook my head. Control is an illusion when it's built on lies. This Christmas isn't about perfection. It's about facing reality. The twist came when I revealed that Lauren had been secretly communicating not just with Daniel, but also with a coworker, coordinating messages and cover stories. Her plan had been meticulous, but meticulous planning couldn't outpace truth. So you were planning all of this together, I said, showing the tablet again, the evidence undeniable. Lauren couldn't deny it. She swallowed hard, tears welling. Yes, I thought it was best for him, for us. I leaned in slightly softer now, best for him. Or best for your image, the question hung in the air. The room was silent, heavy with tension, anticipation, and disbelief. My relatives looked at each other, shocked but attentive. Daniel finally lifted his head. Mom, please don't hate me, I made mistakes. I shook my head, I don't hate you. But forgiveness comes after honesty, not during concealment. Lauren's hands shook as she reached for a glass of water, realizing the depth of what she had created. I never wanted anyone to be humiliated, she whispered. Humiliation isn't my goal either, I said calmly, but accountability is. Daniel's father, who had been watching quietly, finally spoke. This is hard, but it's necessary. Secrets don't protect anyone. I nodded, then addressed the table one last time. Tonight, Christmas dinner goes on, but it will go on with truth at the table. Control cannot hide betrayal, and lies cannot live forever in my home. Lauren sat back, drained, and Daniel leaned against my shoulder briefly, a silent apology in his posture. My relatives nodded quietly, understanding the delicate balance between family love and personal accountability. I smiled faintly, realizing that the real lesson wasn't just for Lauren or Daniel, it was for everyone watching, including me. That night, the tension was almost tangible, but so was a sense of release. Lies had been pulled into the light, control had been stripped away. And for the first time that day, I felt like Christmas was real again, not perfect but authentic. The table was set, the food was served, and the family gathered, facing each other with a newfound awareness that truth always finds a way. Lauren's phone buzzed again, and she ignored it this time, her head down. Daniel whispered, "Thank you, Mom, for not losing your patience." I nodded. "I never lost it, Daniel. I just waited for the right moment." And with that, the room began to settle, everyone cautiously navigating the new reality, knowing that honesty, though uncomfortable, was finally taking its place at the table. The weeks after Christmas were quiet but heavy, and I spent those days trying to reclaim the sense of peace that had been disrupted by secrets, lies, and betrayals. Daniel moved out to face the consequences of his choices, and though I missed having him around, I knew this distance was necessary for him to grow and understand accountability. Lauren, on the other hand, faded from our lives. Her carefully curated image of control and perfection unraveled on its own, as the truth she had tried to hide came to light among our family and a few close friends. She stopped calling, no longer able to manage the story the way she once managed my kitchen, my family, and my holiday plans. I focused on healing myself, on reclaiming my space, and on reminding myself that kindness doesn't mean accepting betrayal or excusing dishonesty. I spent mornings tidying my house, afternoons checking in with Daniel from a distance, and evenings reflecting on the lessons this Christmas had taught me. When he did call or visit briefly, I could see the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders, a stark contrast to the carefree son I had once known. Slowly, through counseling and difficult conversations, he began to take ownership of his actions instead of hiding behind Lauren's manipulation or pretending the affair hadn't happened. Our conversations were not easy. "Mom, I never realized how much I hurt you," he said one afternoon, voice thick with emotion. I nodded, trying to remain calm. Daniel, recognizing that as the first step. "You can't erase the past, but you can move forward differently." "I want to fix things," he added. "I don't know if I can, but I want to." "You can start with honesty, not with trying to fix everything at once," I replied. Lauren's absence was strange at first. I had grown used to her intrusive energy, her constant need to control every detail of the house and family. Without her, the atmosphere was calmer, more grounded. I realized that the tension she had brought masked a lot of truths that now had room to breathe. I took this time to focus on myself as well, reconnecting with friends I had distanced during the holiday chaos and taking time to simply enjoy the quiet moments in my home. One evening, Daniel stopped by to drop off some paperwork and stayed to help me put away holiday decorations. "Mom," he said quietly as he folded a box of ornaments, "I think I'm finally starting to understand why you never lost your patience. You waited. You let me see the truth on my own, but you were always there to guide me." I smiled faintly. "That's right, I didn't shout, I didn't force anything." Sometimes waiting for someone to realize their mistakes is the most powerful way to teach them. "I feel different now," he said, his eyes meeting mine. "I don't want to repeat the same mistakes." "That's all I could hope for, Daniel," I said. Life began to regain a gentle rhythm. The holidays in the following year felt different, quieter but authentic. I didn't plan elaborate schedules or allow anyone to dominate decisions. I let the season unfold naturally, focusing on the warmth of family and the honesty that had become our new foundation. Whenever I thought about Lauren, I felt neither anger nor desire for revenge. She had learned her own lessons, and the consequences of her actions had already played out in ways I didn't need to enforce. Accountability, I realized, didn't require me to chase it. It simply manifested when honesty was finally allowed to breathe. Daniel gradually rebuilt his trust in me and in himself. We spent more time talking about choices, consequences, and integrity than we had in years. I reminded him that forgiveness takes time and must be earned, not demanded. One afternoon, as we sat on the porch sipping tea, he looked at me with tears in his eyes. "Mom, I'm sorry for everything. I'm trying to be better." I took his hand gently. "I know, Daniel. You're learning, and that's what matters. Mistakes don't define you, but what you do after them does." I felt a wave of relief that he was finally beginning to grasp the importance of personal responsibility. That Christmas, the one that had been marred by betrayal and manipulation, had left a permanent mark on both of us, shaping how we approached honesty, family, and trust. I focused on teaching the children, my grandchildren, and even friends who listened to our story, that the true meaning of family is not perfection but accountability, love, and patience. The lessons were simple but profound. Control can look confident, but it collapses when honesty enters the room. Lies may seem harmless at first, but their weight grows heavier over time. And sometimes, the most powerful form of karma is letting people face the consequences of their choices without interference. Over time, I also learned to forgive myself. I hadn't failed by allowing Lauren to host Christmas or by not catching the affair immediately. I had acted with patience, observation, and clarity, allowing the truth to reveal itself at the right moment. That clarity had prevented further chaos and taught my family a lesson we would carry forever. Daniel continued to grow, and with each day, his actions reflected the lessons he had learned. Honesty first, pride second, and the courage to face mistakes head on. I watched him, proud and cautious, knowing that life doesn't erase past errors, but it does allow space for growth. Slowly, peace returned to my home. The weight of secrets had lifted, and the house no longer felt like a place where tension hid in every corner. The holidays became a time of reflection, gratitude, and meaningful connection, free from manipulation or silent resentments. And as I prepared for the next Christmas, I understood something deeply essential. Life doesn't reward those who control others. It rewards those who allow truth to guide decisions and who act with integrity. I carried that lesson in my heart, reminding myself daily that kindness and patience are not weakness but strength. My relationship with Daniel was stronger than ever, not because the betrayal had disappeared, but because we had faced it together, honestly and without avoidance. The moral of our story became clear to me. Secrets may attempt to hide behind control, but the light of truth eventually finds its way. Forgiveness, healing, and justice don't require rage or revenge. They require patience, honesty, and the courage to let the consequences unfold naturally. Looking around my home, now quiet and calm, I felt a sense of completion. The lessons of that Christmas remained, etched into our hearts, guiding our family into a future built on honesty and respect. Daniel would continue to grow, Lauren would fade into her own path, and I had finally reclaimed my peace, my home, and my faith in the power of truth. And that, above all, was the most valuable gift I could have ever asked for. Looking back, I understand now that silence doesn't protect peace, it only protects lies. That Christmas taught me the power of patience and truth spoken calmly. I didn't lose my son, but I did lose the version of him I thought I knew. What I gained was self-respect and clarity. Control can look confident, but it collapses when honesty enters the room. If you're listening to this and carrying a secret that isn't yours, let it go. You don't need to shout. You don't need revenge that burns everything down. Sometimes, karma works best when you simply stop covering for people who chose to betray you. Thank you for listening, and if this story touched you, remember that truth always finds its way home.